What's up, everybody? My name is Alex. I'm your host here on the Swole Friends podcast, as well as the co-founder and COO here at Swolverine. Swolverine is an endurance athlete and active lifestyle brand. We have over 31 different performance powders and daily health supplements that are all proprietary, blend-free, clinically dosed, and scientifically proven effective. We also offer one-on-one nutrition coaching, training templates, online personal training, and a brand new service, which is competitive one-on-one fitness programming. So today on episode 25 of the Swole Friends podcast, that's a big number. We are excited and honored to host Wes Piatt, a U.S. military veteran, a father, a husband, a former EMT firefighter, former wildlife firefighter. He is also the owner and founder of Coast Range CrossFit with him and his incredible wife. He is also a former CrossFit Games athlete, but he has not only made a successful name for himself at being a competitive athlete, being in the professional service world, he also runs one of the most successful CrossFit gyms on the entire western side of the United States. So today I'm pumped. We get to sit down and, join what we call the pizza kitchen of Wes.
Yeah.
All kinds of things. We're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about inclusiveness. We're going to talk about personal things, professional things. And ultimately what I want you guys to get from this podcast is how can you achieve personal, success in your own life using the tools that Wes has had or been given or used in his personal and professional endeavors. So Wes, hopefully that was an okay intro for you.
Oh my gosh. I'm honored. Thank you so much, Alex. That was amazing.
I know I have you kind of up on a pedestal. I have a ton of respect, a ton of regard for you. We've been trying to do this episode now for like a month, you know that?
Yeah.
I just feel like, I don't know, ever since we first met you, for you guys who don't know, Swolverine is the HQ is based out of Reno, Tahoe. Wes is down in Santa Cruz, which is like a 4-hour drive from here, not too bad. And we became acquainted last year. It was actually the first year I officially did Murph with a vest and died, as we all know. But to be able to be introduced into Wes's community like that, especially as a guest, has really left a pretty incredible impression on me. So I will stop talking here. But Wes, tell me a little bit more about what's going on in the gym lately. I mean, it's been a year since we talked to you. What's happening?
Oh man, we just did Murph. It was just as epic as it was last year, except we were missing you guys for sure. But oh man, it's been a road. This last year has been a lot. We've had a lot happen at the gym. We've had a lot of ups. We've had a couple downs. Just the normal stuff. I think that every small business owner, I'm sure you guys have felt the ups and downs, not just the last year, but the last few years. And so, but this last year in general, from the time that I saw you guys at Murph last year to this year, it's a 180. I mean, if you thought last year was awesome, holy cow, like the gym just has so much more fire in it now and it feels so good. It's just, everything's running on all cylinders, but you could tell by my voice that I'm running. Like I tell everybody when they hear me like, God, dude, your voice is going. And I'm like, yeah, you guys, I'm working my ass off. I'm working my ass off the last year, but I am so full and so happy. Like I couldn't imagine doing anything else. So I'm just, I'm very happy with where we're at, but I'm very tired.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now.
Right? It's kind of the caveat. Everyone's like, well, pursue your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. And they're like, I would think the absolute opposite.
It's like getting yourself to stop working is the hard part. That's what I find. Getting myself to put the computer away, to stop doing something at the gym, to stop changing something and making it better at the gym. You know what I mean? It's like, that's actually the hard part for me is not working.
Yeah. And I think too, with like the success of the gym and like the wide variety of offerings that you guys have, which we'll get into in a second, it's going to blow your guys' mind, is that, when is enough? When do you feel like you've filled your cup? When do you feel like you've filled their cup, right? Being in the service industry, I think that's a hard thing to balance,
Yeah, it definitely is. We have an analogy that we got from a friend, Lindsay Graff, where it's you have a bunch of champagne flutes and they're all stacked up and they make a big pyramid. And at the top is yours. And what we end up usually doing is we start down at the bottom with our champagne glass full of energy and we start filling up the people at our work, and we give them all of our energy. And then we get to the people, maybe our friends, and we give them energy. And then we get to our family and we don't have much left for them, but we give them a little bit and then we don't give ourselves anything. And instead, I've been really trying to take the approach over the last couple of years of flipping that around and trying to fill my cup up first so that it overflows into my family, overflows into my friends, overflows into them. And then when I'm in the gym, I think about it the same way, except it goes from me to my coaches, from my coaches into my members, from my members into their family members and their kids and their aunts and their uncles, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm hoping to have my life set in a way that has rituals, has routines that are built in that help me continue to fill up my glass so that when people walk in my gym, they get that feeling that hopefully you and Walter had last time you guys were at the gym, where you're just like, oh my God, I didn't understand, like I thought I knew what a CrossFit gym was like, but this is next level. And you have to not only like have a cup that is full already about CrossFit or fitness to run a business, but it better have been overflowing. And that's like a term my wife has used a lot. She's like, your cup better have been like really overflowing, and you needed a bigger cup, which is why you started the business. It was because you just needed it to be your life, because there was no other chance of doing anything else. And that like came to fruition actually just a few months ago when I said there's been some downs and some ups. We had a down a few months ago when taxes came around. Oof. And we started looking at things and like going to the future, and Meg's just looking at me and going, you got to go get a job, bro. Yeah. Like it's time. It's time. Like we've ridden this boat and it's time to go. And I'm going, no, like you are not taking this away from me. And I just over the last few months have fought my ass off. We did this like summer deal discount thing that we've never done before. And like we were pulling strings. I was talking to people. And I was just realized that when your back is really pushed against the wall, like it's been with people for COVID, like it's been for people after COVID and throughout maybe their whole lives, or any traumas that they've ever been through in their life, right? Like your ability to work through those things and to not allow people to take you away from the thing that you should be doing is exactly what makes it so much cooler and makes that glass not only full, but makes it overflow when you actually make it through and go, oh, holy cow, we did it. Okay, we're still here. We didn't give up. We didn't give up on it. That's how you keep filling your cup, is you keep going after it, even when it is really hard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's good that you bring that up. It's kind of funny. I had this conversation with one of our newer, he's like one of our employees. And I was like, do you know, like our motto, like adapt or die? Do you know why we have that? You know what I mean? And you as a business owner, and some of our business owners out there, maybe just people in life, like understand when you are faced with a challenge, like you said, when your back is up against the wall, you adapt or you die. You have to figure it out, or you got to move on and pivot and do something else. And, you speak to the business owner, you guys made it through COVID. We have a lot of gyms, we used to partner with, and unfortunately didn't make it through COVID, or decided that it was a better option for them to hop out. And that is absolutely okay. We all got to find our own path, but it's kind of one of those things where, what do you feel like you can speak to the owner that you're doing lately? If someone were to get themselves maybe in a similar position, or financially, or taxes come up and they're like, oh, like I got this giant ass bill. Like, I don't know what to do, how to pay for it. You said you got creative. You guys started the gym in 2013. So, and you ran a deal maybe you've never done before. What type of advice do you have to someone who maybe look at it and kind of stuck in that idea of like, we're effed, and take that perspective from we're effed to we're going to figure this out, right?
I'm only laughing because I've really honestly been through it, and I understand. And I'm not on necessarily the other side of it, because you never are as a business owner. You're always, we saw that with COVID, right? It could be taken away from you at any moment, and it could be to no fault of your own. You need to have plan B. You need to have plan C in the back hip pocket. And that's what I learned from this last one was this. We did a little summer sale. And the only time we've ever done something like this was the first week we opened our gym in 2013. We said, if you sign up within the first month, it'll be $80 a month for the rest of your life. Dang. And we got 80 people to sign up in the first day. And it was like, oh shit, never mind. And we were like, oh God. But ever since then, all we've ever done is just raise our prices up every, couple of years, and we've kept going up and up and up. And as our rent has gone up and our costs have gone up, we've raised our prices to try to keep up with that as much as we can, even though it's impossible in this day and age with the inflation it's just, this is nothing that we've ever seen. So, you just can't prepare for something like this as a business owner, but we tried our best to prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had nothing to do with that, but it was like this little sale that I finally was just like, look, I'm pushed against the wall. I have no other options. I have to do this thing that for 10 years I've been saying I wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, why? Why didn't I do that? And my reasoning for myself for not ever doing a sale was that it would bring down the value of my coaching. It would bring down the value of my gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to change my own narrative to allow myself to do this thing that would allow me to keep doing the business. And so the narrative now that I changed to myself is that, no, I'm giving others an opportunity to afford this.
Wow. So rewriting that narrative, that almost like that mission statement, right? It's like within ourselves. I know it's hard to offer sales. I totally get it.
Yeah. But it's because at the end of the let's say this, it was the deal was it was $99 a month for a year.
Wow. So that's, yeah.
But the second that year is up, it goes back to whatever our prices are going to be at that moment.
Mm-hmm. But that means you also have a year to prove to this person.
You know what I'm going to do to that person in a year? Oh my God. Like if they come 3 days a week for a year and they eat kind of okay, just the internal difference they're going to have of feeling so much stronger, capable, having a new community to hang out with, it's going to be really hard for them to go, this isn't worth it for me. Totally. And then in that moment, so then I had to have this other conversation with myself. Okay, well, what happens when they do say it's not worth it or they say it is worth it for me, but I can't afford it, Wes. Now what do you do?
Yeah.
I keep giving it to them at $99 a month because who cares? It's that person is reaping the rewards from doing the thing that I'm asking them to do. And for me to say, because you can't afford that, I'm sorry, you can't keep coming. Oh my God, like that's just not who I am as a person. So while I did rewrite the narrative inside my head and was like, hey, I'm giving people opportunity. And then I said, well, hey, you're also going to go up. I also had to say, okay, well, plan C, when that doesn't work out, what am I going to do then? I'm going to allow them to stay. I'm not going to kick them out. And so I think as a business owner, having the plan A is great. What's the plan B? What's the plan C? And then ask yourself, what are the things you keep telling yourself, I would never do that. I would never do that. And really ask yourself, if you were pushed up against the wall and you had to lose your job and this was it, would you do it then? And if you would do it then, how would you do it? And what would you do when this happened and that happened and this? And just go through the scenarios, because it's in preparation that we become confident. So if you're preparing for a competition in CrossFit, the more you do repetitions of a movement that you're not confident in, the more confidence you gain in that movement. And it's the exact same thing when it comes to being a business owner. If you're really nervous about something happening to your business because of X, Y, or Z, then put yourself in X, Y, or Z position and come up with, what would you do when this happens? What would you do that happens? And just go through every single tactical plan that you could possibly imagine, so that if anything bad does happen, you'll be a lot more confident going into that, knowing that you prepared for this already.
Well, and you guys, like, listening to this and even sitting here and reminding myself, like, these are not just like hot air words that are coming out of Wes. Like, Wes has served in the Air Force, right? Wes has served in the Air Force. Wes has been, a first responder who's been in those positions that are like fight or flight. Like, you're on the line, somebody's life depends on you. He has also been, and still is, on the seminar staff for CrossFit. You know what I mean? And like, you've gone through so much of life that these words, they do hold a lot of merit. And I think one thing too that you just touched on is like the silo between the business owner and the silo between the coach, right? Because at the end of the day, like, as a gym owner, you'll always kind of be a coach, right? I mean, I don't own a gym, I'm not going to say that, but I would assume.
No, you're right. Yeah.
And it's like those, we might increase prices or decrease prices, but always our services are going up. Right? Always our value, always our opportunity, whether that's our hours, whether that's classes or clubs. I mean, you guys specifically, and now I'll let you get into this one, but you guys have a wide variety of classes, a wide variety of I'll call them clubs. So right before we get into that, I'm going to comment back Emma. So Emma, you know Emma. She's our sales account manager.
Oh, yeah. What's up, Emma? Hi. How's the baby? Oh, my gosh.
We also have Alan in here. What's up, Wes?
Alan.
Power, self-talk, and growth mindset, changing lives.
Dude, Alan is part of a dad's group I'm a part of called We Bus. We got to talk about that later. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. We got a little dad's group that we lean on each other, and they're all over the United States. It's pretty cool.
That's rad. Oh, okay. So tell me about, oh, I'm just so excited. So tell me more about what you guys are offering at the gym right now. Some of like the wide variety of things, whether those are classes or, we'll get into We Bus too.
Man, it was such a cool setup. I feel like we scripted this, even though we didn't. Yeah, before Alex is all, hey, here's my notes for you, and it's a blank piece of paper,
We're just throwing
man, I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday at the gym, and I was saying that right before we opened the gym, I remember reading the article from Greg Glassman where he said, the needs of our Olympic athletes and our grandparents vary by degree, not by kind. So everybody needs to pick things up and put things over their heads, but some people are throwing hundreds of pounds over their heads, and some people are picking up the laundry basket and putting the detergent into the cupboard. But it doesn't matter. We're all picking things up and putting things over our head. And so I've always wanted, since I started my gym, to really, truly be able to have somebody walk into my gym and go, oh, you weren't kidding. You really do have every single type of person in here. And you really are making them all do CrossFit. And you're not having them do some sort of secret squirrel special program over here. It's like really, truly, you are just taking the workout of the day and modifying it or scaling it, which is not a bad word, everybody, scaling it in a way that helps them get to whatever their need is in order to make improvement. So we have from 5 years old to 8 years old is our CrossFit kids. We have from 9 until 12 is our CrossFit preteens. We have from 13 until 17 or 18 is our CrossFit teens. Then we have like a regular CrossFit class, obviously, that goes all the way up to, we have a 65. I'm trying to think, Marco's 65 or 67. I can't remember, but he's in our regular group classes.
He said he was 65.
And he'll hop back and forth between that. And we have a wellness class, which is targeted towards, when we first started doing it, it was for 65 and older is what we called it. So we had Marco in our class, and we went, okay, well, he's the oldest. So we need somewhere for Marco to go when he feels like he can't do this anymore. So, and we need someone for my father and my mother-in-law to do this stuff. So, okay, we'll call it CrossFit Wellness, and it'll be targeted towards 65 and older. And at that same time, I started a pilot program over at CrossFit headquarters in Scotts Valley with Zach Pine and Michelle Moots. And originally it was started by Rory McKernan when Rory was working for media. Mm-hmm. And it was targeted as, if you are the last person to ever step foot into a CrossFit gym, we want you. And it's free. So come on down. And we didn't know what we were going to get. And we ended up getting morbidly obese, missing limbs. We got a lot of elderly. We had, oh my gosh, firefighter Bob. He was in his 90s. He wore diapers and he had a walker. So that's how old we were getting. Okay. We had COPD. We had diabetes. We had every chronic illness you could imagine. We had missing limbs. We had everything. So we started to slowly become that at our gym. The wellness program that was supposed to be just bunch of old people hanging out, all of a sudden it had morbidly obese. It had missing limbs. We had a guy, Thomas, who had a traumatic brain injury. He was in his 30s. We have, and then we just started a Parkinson's class. And so on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have our wellness class, which is what I just spoke of. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have a Parkinson's class. It's specifically for anybody within any stage or early stage, or any relative, aunt, uncle, doesn't matter, of somebody who has Parkinson's can come to that class. Mm-hmm. And after that, we have a firefighter preparedness program that's run out of our gym, and like some massage stuff and whatever else. But you can literally walk into our gym and you would see Thomas on one side of the gym, who looks like a zombie because he has a traumatic brain injury, and he drags his leg and he talks like this, and he's like and he has the driest sense of humor ever because he hit the part of his head where it it really has the filter. Well, the filter has been removed off of Thomas, and it's awesome and everybody loves it. You know, we have a huge LGBTQ plus community at our gym that, like, I mean, we fly that flag proud at our gym. We fly that flag right next to the American flag because we also have a huge group of VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars building here in Gilroy, that work out at our gym. They're the Vietnam vets. They're the Gulf War vets. They're the, you know, like, and I'm down there all the time too. And all of them, everybody from 5 years old to Parkinson's to gay to non-binary to the VFW vets from Vietnam are hanging out with each other upstairs drinking beer with the drinking team that we have. I forgot to mention the drinking team, which is just too much. It's just too much.
Now you guys know why Wes doesn't have a ta-da! End the podcast now. No.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, and it's so true. And you guys like, oh, I was in there and I remember walking in and confidence is a little low in the CrossFit, you know, athlete area for myself personally. We're working on it. But when you go into Wes's gym, you're kind of like looking around, and you know, when you kind of see people, oh, I would, you know, maybe fit in with them, or, oh, maybe I should talk to them, or maybe I feel more comfortable over there. I did that. And I was like, literally, I could be anywhere in this gym. And it's not a small gym.
Good.
You have like that lofted area where you go up top, like where the beers are. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like you go anywhere and even you don't feel like there's a part of the gym you don't belong in. You know, like when you're like, oh, it's competitive class. And you have someone coming in and like, I don't belong here because everyone has 80 abs and I have like half of one. Like, or, you know, that I don't look like them or I don't work out like them. That's not a thing. And that's not you just don't get that. And it was a really unique experience. And then to go from personal experience from Murph, you're right. The VFW is up there in their uniforms. There's these men, these veterans who are in their uniforms flying the flag. We got everyone down on the ground. And it's just like, it's community. And I think I'm not trying to like blow smoke up your ass, but literally like it is the heart of community and the heart of what CrossFit really stands for, or just fitness or just kind of acceptance in general in it. And it's a really beautiful, unique thing, you know?
Man, that I can't tell you the thank you so much for saying that. Because we literally just rewrote our mission statement this last year. And it went from being like, you know, our goal is to make Gilroy the most healthy place on earth and then have it butterfly effect from there and blah, blah, blah. And over the last, you know, few years, it's been tough, man. It's been really tough. And I've had some moments of real bad times where I really thought that it was like, hey, I'm done. I'm over this. It's time to exit this earth. It is time for me to move on. It is time because this is too much for me. I really was there a few times. Mm-hmm. And the WeBus group that I hope we get to talk about really saved me, honestly. But it was more of like our ability to walk into that gym and to see anybody and just go and be able to like say anything to them, talk to them, let it out, them just to allow me to be who I want to be. And it was like, all of a sudden I realized that when that was being taken away from me, that space was being taken away. That's when I started to die. Yeah. Right. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to cry because it's like so great that we've coming back from it. But
this is a safe space.
Yeah, but it was, so we sat down and I sat down with the coaches, you know, and I asked them, I was like, you know, what's really important in this place? You know, what do you want from this place? And then I sat down with some of the members and I said, when this place wasn't here during COVID, like, what did it take from you? And what was missing? And it came down to what you were just saying, Alex, that like, there was no clicks or anything. It was just like, you walk in there and you're just like, yeah, just talk to anybody. I don't know. Like, here we are. This is it. And I went, isn't that kind of the goal of the world, is to have that? Like, anywhere you go, you can walk into any space and it would just be like, I'm here. Good. Cool. Here we are. Like, let's explore and let's talk to people and let's be curious and let's not be concerned about who we are, or our abs, or that person better than me or whatever. And I'm like, holy shit, I am trying to create a microcosm of world peace. I am literally trying to take 150 people and see if we can get them to go, hey, no races, no sexes, no need to worry about who can do more pull-ups or less pull-ups. No need to worry about, who's what age or this, or who cares about Black Lives Matters or not, or who cares about if you're this sex or that sex. Show up, support each other. If you're not doing the things that aren't reaping the rewards, it's all good too, but we're going to put our arm around you and be like, hey, is everything okay? And if you say everything's great, we're going to be like, okay, well, what's up with the nutrition, man? Let's go. Come on. Like, let's start reaping the rewards then here, but if you're like, no, man, not everything's great. And we're like, yeah, we could tell, because you're off. You seem different. And so we literally rewrote our mission statement. You're saying this, I'm going, oh my God. Okay, so our mission statement now, I'm going to try to say this off top because, when you read a mission statement, it's like, meh, 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 meh. But we are a microcosm of world peace held up by a community of hardworking CrossFitters that hold one another accountable for the action necessary to reap the rewards we see between our four walls every day.
Boom.
And we do that through loving kindness, integrity, wisdom, and self-control. And so it's like, you're like sitting there saying like, yeah, you can literally look anywhere in this gym and hang out with anybody and there's no clicks. I'm not worried about this. And I'm going, yes, we're doing it. Yes, it's happening. So thank you. Thank you for that. Like, yeah. And that was a year ago. You're right. It was already happening then. So, oh my God, we got to bring you guys back down. Like, I can't wait.
No, and it's good. And it's, sometimes the things that we put in place to save others are the things that save us. Right. And sometimes that as a leader in our own lives, I see this with clients on the coaching side, whether it's, the breadwinner who forgot to take care of himself, whether it's the person who lost a leg or got autoimmune and their whole life changed and they feel like their candle went out, whatever that is, it's as that leader in life, it's I honestly think very easy to feel hopeless. And I think it's very easy to go into that hole and to say like, what is this all worth? Or I've built enough that doesn't need me. I don't need me. That got deep real fast, but dark.
That's how I roll, Alex.
I know.
Like yeah, definitely. I don't have very surface-based conversations with people. We get deep quick with me, so.
I know. So any of our listeners, like we're both deep people, so we kind of apologize ahead of time, but we don't. But
no, not at all. Go find a different podcast. There's plenty of them. This one's for crying. That's what this one's for.
Right. Oh man. But yeah, I mean, and you touch on you and I follow a lot of the same therapists on social. A lot of the posts that resonate with me resonate with you. I know that you started, and you guys go follow Wes. It's WESPIATT 2013. But on social, and you started this thing where you're writing these little notes, and I see your handwriting and your little face in the background.
Oh yeah, that thing's been fun.
That's Wes, but suicide, depression, PTSD, they're real ass things. And not only do you address them, do you experience, I'm not going to speak for you, but have experienced things. But you also you guys have had therapy nights. You've invited me to a therapy night. What gym you guys do you know that's offering therapy night? And if they don't offer it, you should probably go tell them to do it. But Wes, tell us how you guys do it. Tell us how that has been impactful for you and your members.
Yeah, it's called We Talk. And it's just the last Friday of every month upstairs. If after the last workout of the day, if you want to hang out, we'll be up there. And it's just, there's a beer fridge up there. There's also non-alcoholic beverages up there. There's usually a game or a CrossFit Games thing playing on up there or something. And, one or two people come up there and start talking to each other. And it's just a space where, on Fridays at that time, when you go up there, you can share anything and nobody's going to let it go out of that room. It's going to stay between them. It's going to be a place where you can literally be as vulnerable as you want to be around people that you already are vulnerable around when you work out around them anyways. You know what I mean? You're already next to them and suffering and, doing the ugly faces and spitting on the ground and, like you're not looking your best but giving your best. And that's what that is. It's about going up there and, maybe you have some ugly tears that happen, but man, you're just letting it out. And it's a place to have full healing, like from the moment of like physical healing to mental healing to everything. Like the gym should not just be a place to go get muscles. The gym is a place to heal, and it's a place to heal everything, especially the mental spots. So it was really just, it came off of the WeBus thing that we started with the dads group. And it was just like, hey, this is working out really well. We should try it at the gyms and see how it goes. And, It's hit or miss at the gyms, to be honest with you. So if you're thinking about starting it, what I would do is I would just do it in waves. Like do it where you do it like once every couple months or something like that. And everybody knows it's coming up, and only do it maybe 3 or 4 times a year, but then have an online thing that you do too, where we use, it's called Marco Polo. If you guys have ever heard of that app, it's just basically like you can leave somebody a FaceTime message and then they can return a FaceTime message to you whenever they want. You don't have to answer it right away. And then it also has like emojis and stuff you could put on there, and you could bookmark it, or you could save it, or you could do whatever, or you could speed up their voice, or you can make your voice sound like a robot if you want. It's like, it's fun. But the idea behind it is that it's not supposed to be fake. It's supposed to be real. It's just somebody talking to you and saying, what's up? And so we have an online community too, where you can anytime, any day or night, go on there. Just, I'm struggling. Here's what's going on. Or I got this issue. Or, hey, have you guys ever had this happen? Or we also have things where we share wins and we share like awesome things we've done too, or we motivate other people. But we have one rule, and it's the only rule we've ever had. And it involves, for both We Talk and for WeBus, is that you can't share advice. Because nobody wants to hear your freaking advice if you haven't been through the damn thing. And there's nothing worse than somebody coming up to you and being like, hey, you know what you should do to solve that problem right there is you should do this. And then you're like, okay, and what happened when you did that? And you're like, oh, I haven't had that happen to me before, but I know that's what you should do. So my cousin's cousin did that. And you're like, what? Okay, great. And now you kind of feel like a jerk if you don't do it. And also you don't really feel like you should do it. And then when you see that person again, how awkward is it going to be when they're like, hey, so how did that work out? And you're going to be like, ah. So we avoided all of that. And we just said, if you can share the experience with the person. So somebody comes on there, like in the dad's group, for example, somebody will come on there and be like, dude, I'm freaking out. My girls won't get dressed in the morning. I can't get them out on time. We're late to school every day. I literally give them 3 outfits to try to pick out. They get to choose which ones they want. It's still not enough. It doesn't matter. And then there's like 5 dads that hop on there in like 10 seconds to go, oh boy, I remember when my girls were that age. Well, they're 16 and 24 now. And what I did was, I did a ticket system where if they did it in the morning, they got a ticket. And if they got 10 tickets, then they got frozen yogurt, or something like that. And then somebody else would come on and be like, oh man, yeah, I tried that and it didn't work at all. What we did is I would just make sure that they picked out one outfit, and you would have 5 guys that would come on with 5 completely different ways to solve the same problem. And now that person that came on with that problem can curate whatever they want and solve that problem however they want. And then come back to that group and be like, hey, dude, I tried a little bit of yours. It didn't work out. I tried some of yours. I did this, and I kind of combined these 2 things, and this is what worked. It was awesome. And everybody's stoked. Nobody cares if their thing got used or that. They're just there to share their experience. And that's been the big thing at We Talk. I think that's allowed people at the gym to feel like they can come there and be vulnerable, is because they're not going to come there and have some egotistical person telling them what they should do and blah, blah, blah. And if they don't do it, now they have to face that person at the gym the next day. It's just people there sharing experiences and just listening.
Emma. Oh, Tyler's a ball of full attitude right now.
Oh man, yes. I got a 3 and a 6-year-old. I understand.
Yeah, you've got the tinies. They're very cute. They were so sweet. I mean, man, Wes's kids are. You think Wes is a ball of energy? They're awesome.
Yeah, they keep me on my toes. That's for sure.
So We Talk came after WeBus. So let's get into WeBus. What is that? Tell me all the stuff.
Oh my God, WeBus is my heart and soul right now. It's like everything for me. I mean, so in the middle of the pandemic, like, all right, get tissues out. I hope I'm ready. I'm going to probably cry myself because every time I talk about this, I start crying. But we didn't have we didn't have the worst upbringing at all growing up, but we definitely didn't have the best upbringing growing up. My dad was a Hell's Angel. My mom was a waitress / bartender / maid / whatever job she could get at the moment to make some tips, basically, was what she worked for, right? My dad died from a cocaine overdose when I was 6 years old. And at that time, my mom went into prison for a while. We stayed in a foster care. We had a lot of like kind of traumatic stuff that happened to us in a very young age. During that time, my mom, her mental health just got worse and worse and worse. And as the years went on, we had more schizophrenic episodes with her as she became bipolar. And those lessons that I learned from the things that she did were the best things that ever happened to me, because it taught me two things. Number one, during the pandemic, I thought that I was kind of becoming bipolar. With everything that was going on, with my business being shut down, it being reopened, it being shut down, Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, we had half of our gym get mad at the other half of the gym. And so this half quit, and then this half went over here, and they all started their own things in their garage. And I'm sitting in the middle going, what is happening right now? Like, what is going on? And so I'm doing the thing that most people are doing at that time, which is drinking more than anybody else should be. And, but also trying to stay in shape, because you got to be the leader of the gym. You got to make sure you're keeping people motivated. We're doing the Zoom classes. We're doing the blah, blah, blah. We're renting out the equipment. And you're just battling and battling. And I started to notice that, like, my ability to stay calm, my ability to think rationally, like to be an adult, was just slowly fading away. And I started to get really concerned that maybe I was bipolar like my mom was. And I remembered all of those episodes that me and my sister went through growing up, and just the just awful traumatic things that a kid should never go through. And I thought about me becoming that and my daughters going through it. Mm-hmm. And it was in that moment where I went, yep, that's a pretty easy decision. They're in the moment right now, 4 and 1. Yeah. They're not going to remember me very much. So if I do let it go right now, then my wife could still get remarried. They could start a new life. She could find a new dude who's probably way better than me, doesn't have these problems. You know what I mean? And you go through this whole, which now it's like, you talk to people about it and it's like, what was I thinking? But this is what happened to thousands and thousands of people who luckily didn't do what I did, which was one night, I am literally in the garage, and I went in the garage to drink. Mm-hmm. And for some weird reason, I got on the assault runner instead, and I started sprinting. And I just started doing sprint intervals, and I just went as hard as I could until I couldn't go anymore, and I stopped. And I went as hard as I could until I couldn't go anymore. And I just did that for like an hour. And I got off the thing. I'm laying on the ground and just a pool of sweat, feeling the best that I had felt in I don't know how long. It feeling alive finally. And then feeling it starting to fade away. And so I picked up my phone and I put something on Instagram. It said, hey, I'm struggling. I'm a dad. If you're struggling and you're a dad and you're a small business owner and you feel like you're just going through the shit, I'm thinking about starting a little dad's club. Like maybe just somebody to talk to once a week. Yeah. Let me know if you'd be interested. And I hit, story. And then oh no. Yeah, totally. What did I do? And I put it away. And I did it because it was like when that feeling was starting to fade away from me a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm laying there on the ground. At that time, I'd already decided that I was going to commit suicide. Like I'd already actually looked up how I was going to apply for a gun permit, how I was going to do it, all of this. Mm-hmm. And the last step I was going to take was I had to reach out to people that cared about me and tell them that I was suffering and that I needed help, because I was mad that I had 2 friends in the military over the last 2 years who had committed suicide. They hadn't called me, and I was pissed. I was pissed at them. I was so mad that they didn't just, why wouldn't you just text me and be like, hey man, I'm suffering. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, call me right now. I'm coming your way. Like I'm here. Mm-hmm. And so me being the little wuss that I was, I didn't reach out to the people closest to me. I reached out to Instagram, you know what I mean? And put it out to the world, because that's what we do. It's easier to reach out to people we don't really know than it is people that are closest to us, right? So I did that. And I thought, nothing would happen. I went to bed that night. I woke up next morning and I had an inbox from dads all over the country just going, yes, I'm literally where you are right now, if not a couple steps ahead of you. Yeah. And it was like, I'm not alone. Take this thing off of me. Take this thing off of me. I've got friends now. All of a sudden I'm talking to this guy. Oh my God. Hey, this guy's pretty cool. Hey, this guy's kind of like me. Hey, he does CrossFit too. And it was just this snowball effect. And now we have a full-blown thing called We Bus that is 62 members strong and all over the United States. There's hundreds of videos on there every day of guys coming in and going, hey guys, what should I do about this? Hey guys, what should I do about this? Hey, we got a, We Bus win, we call them, and they take the grocery cart back and they do something good or whatever, and it's literally just a group of 62 dads that are on there trying to just really be like the men of this generation that are hopefully going to change lives going forward, break generational curses, and actually make the change going forward. So, and we use the word dads and we use the word men and stuff. We actually have an acronym that we say we call it dudes. Everybody in the WeBus is called dudes. They are dedicated, understanding, diverse, educated souls. Because if you're, for example, we have Charlie at our gym who's non-binary, and if Charlie wants to come into WeBus, come on into WeBus. Let's do it. Yeah. But right now it's just a bunch of dads. So be ready if you're coming in. It's a bunch of me, but it's a bunch of dads that are super vulnerable. It's a bunch of dads that don't mind just being like, dude, I effed up. Yeah. What do I do?
Yeah.
And that goes the gamut. From I forgot to take the garbage cans out last night, my wife is pissed, to I just cheated on my wife.
Yeah. And it's a place to like go to admit and heal and to find community and to, you know what I mean, have positive reinforcement. It's not like a place to, you know,
to find a bunch of people that are just going to go, hey, me too.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I did. And here's what happened.
Exactly.
And that's it. And nobody's going to say, here's what you should do. They're just going to say, here's what happened.
Well, and I assume that's kind of where the, idea of not offering the advice on if you haven't been there, right? Is that like where that stemmed from?
That's it. And it's just as simple as that. Like somebody comes on, but you go, just don't share advice. If you haven't been there, just don't share advice. Sit back and listen. That's wisdom. Close this and open these more and learn. And that's what this place, like the goal of WeBus is to grow it so big and to have so many dads all over the world that imagine that network of people just to be like, I don't know what to do with this. And you would have generations of people coming in and giving you not advice, but true wisdom, true experience, which is what wisdom is. It's experience. It's not advice. Mm-hmm. Gained experience. So it's like, it's a pretty amazing thing that we've created. Actually, it's like so funny because it was starting to turn into something. We're like, oh shoot, do we need to create a business out of this? Like, are we going to make it a nonprofit? Like, what are we going to do? And so we started to create like a board of directors to just kind of start getting like a handle on it. Like, what are we going to do with it? Because it was just getting out of control. It's just too many people. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, all right, well, Wes is the CEO and you're this and that. And we all just kind of took roles and here we go running with it. And all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. I don't want to be the CEO. I don't want to do like, I need this more than you guys do. Like, I want to be in this, not running it. And so I actually got another guy in to be the CEO of the company. I'm not even running it. Yeah. And I'm a head of media. That's what I do. I get to run the social media. That's like, I was like, cool, let me do something artsy and fun. And that's it. So we got a guy named Switch, who's get this, 27-year veteran of the United States Air Force. Wow. Yeah, he retired as a full bird colonel, which is amazing, but it's not even that. He flew Apache helicopters for combat rescue for 27 years. He's running our company.
Oh my gosh.
Like, if that guy doesn't know how to lead a group of people in a positive direction to help other people.
I don't know who does.
Yeah, right? That's what I said. I was like, hey, so, sir, would you mind by possibly running this company for me? And he's all fired up. He's like, hell yeah, let's do it, brother. So, yeah, so it's a thing. And it's like, it really was a nice synergy between the gym and that coming together. Because like most of the members that are in that are at my gym too, you know, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is really neat. How would a dude join?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, dude! I could send the link to you, Alex. You could just post it, I guess, and wherever you guys do that. And it's just a simple link that you just click on and you just join. There's a little welcome video when you come in that says, "Hey, here's what we're all about," and whatever. But if you have more questions, honestly, just hit me up.
Yeah,
we could talk off to the side, and I'd love to talk to anybody that's like, hey, it sounds like it might be for me, but I'm not sure, like, please hit me up. I'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. And again, you guys can find Wes on Instagram. It's Wes Piatt 2013. You can message the gym on Instagram. You can go to the website. Like, there's a lot of different ways to get in contact with him about anything, not just WeBus. You know what I mean? You're pretty open book. And I think that that's one of the unique things is that, not only do you simultaneously work on yourself and your family and be there for others, or for yourself, but be there for others as well. And that's a really hard thing to do. I struggle with it all the time.
Well, you have to, because you have to work on yourself first. If you don't fill your cup, you can't overflow into other people's. So if you're filling other people's cups and not your own first, there's where you need to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's I don't know. How do you guys, I forgot to ask this earlier, how do you fit so many different class offerings into a day or a week?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we have like our Parkinson's and our wellness classes run at 10 to 11. So that's like a great kind of midday time, and we use that time. And then our preteens and our teens and our kids classes, they run from 3:15 to 4, which is just before our other evening classes start. So they kind of bump up to it. And then they'll run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesday and Thursday. So the teens go Tuesday, Thursday, because they usually have sports and stuff that they're doing outside of that. And the kids go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been in CrossFit long enough to see it change quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
What was it like being an athlete in 2013? What was it like to, watch it turn into a professional sport, an influencer sport? And where do you think CrossFit is going from here?
Oh man, what was it like when I did in 2013? It was doable. That's what it was like. It was like, I think the only reason why I made it to the CrossFit Games back then was because back then, if you had good mental toughness, you could outwork people and not be talented or fitter than them. You could just be basically dumber and willing to hurt yourself more than other people were. And that was me. I was willing to just put my head down and just go to a dark place because I kind of enjoyed it. It was like, for me, it was like the only time where I could have meditation in a way. I didn't even realize it back then, but it was my safe space, it was in the dark space kind of. Mm-hmm. And that sounds weird now, but it's like, it's something that I need. And so I think that's what made me get to the games back then. And you could do that back then. You could look at Noah and I could be like, oh, I got you, bro, because you're suffering and you're not willing to go. But now Noah's like, no, I'm willing to go. I'm making meals, bro. Here we go. And everybody else is like, no, I'm willing to go. My life depends on this. Like, we're going and we're training all day. And back then, no, we all had done one job, if not two jobs. And then we're training on the side at that time. So that was a big difference, that you didn't have so much riding on the line, and you were able to make it if you were mentally tougher back then. Now you have to be mentally tough. You have to have the time commitment to put in, not just like now, but the time commitment over the years in order to accumulate the volume necessary to get to the level that these guys are at and girls are at, but not too quickly where you injure yourself. Mm-hmm. And that takes a long time now. And the longer we're in the sport, the longer that will take. So when I started the sport, I was lucky enough to start as the sport started. So I kind of naturally linearly progressed with the sport. Mm-hmm. As my volume of my training went from one workout a day, just like what everybody would do back then, to, oh, okay, now I see Rich is doing 2 workouts a day. I'll do 2. Oh, now I see Dan Bailey's doing 2 plus an accessory. Okay, I'll do that too. And that was over the course of like 10 years that we did that. Yeah. Not what, kids now are seeing where they jump in. It's like, okay, well, I have to do an AM and a PM session or else I'm not going. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, you need to do 1 workout a day for the next year. Yeah. And then we'll talk about you doing some extra strength training for the next year. And then we'll talk about you doing some extra competitive training on that 3rd year. Once your body's built up the resiliency and the ability to handle this volume, and you've decided that your life is still going in this direction, you're willing to commit the literally days worth of training you're going to have to put in every week to be a professional athlete now. Mm-hmm. So it's no longer, trying to make a, Division I college team was what it felt like back in the day. It's like you're trying to make the pros now. It's different realm. So yeah,
definitely. And we've also seen it change. We've been in the industry 7 years, and you see it change from the, oh, I understand what it takes, to no, I can do that. Like, oh, I deserve that. And it's like, okay, like probably aren't seeing the whole picture, so it's a lot of times you have to have that conversation as coaches. You have to have that, like, okay, here's what's really on the plate. You know what I mean? The fruit's not as sweet as you think it is. Because, like you said, like, sit down, do a workout a day. Let's talk. Let's do this. Let's do that. And they're like, no, I want it now. I'm going to do it now. Yeah, I had a client come to me the other day. Yeah, well, I did. And I kind of screwed that pooch. But,
it's all good.
they're like, oh, well, I saw, your guys' athletes at semifinals. Like, I could make the games next year. And I was
And they were going off of,
I don't know.
Yeah, like awesome. Oh, cool. Yeah, were your times close to theirs? Like, did we test theirs? Or you have the same amount of pull-ups as them? You have the same whatever? Yeah.
And it's not, as a coach, and I'm kind of poking fun at it, but you guys know as our listeners, and Wes, like you never want to discourage someone from something, but it's also our responsibility to be brutally honest, and to sit down and say, and you're on HQ, and you just did an L2 last weekend, and you understand that, you got to have that tough conversation with people and not just blow smoke up their ass,
Yeah, I think it's more about setting up the expectations, right? And like, okay, well, what is it that you're going after? And here's what you need to do to get there. How far away are you? And having the constant check-ins. Like we set that up at the L2 a lot. And a lot of people go to the L2 and they're so scared they're just going to, be told that they suck and that's it. And they shouldn't coach anymore and, wherever else. But a lot of times it's really, I think it's on us as the red shirts and the trainers to more set them up for success.
Yeah.
In terms of like the second that they step up to us, just being like, okay, well, where are you at right now? Let's find out first. All right. How long have you been coaching? How long have you been coaching? How many classes a week do you coach? How much time do you actually put into this? So I know my expectations of where they should be based off of you. Now tell me your goals. Okay, your goals don't max the expectations that I have of you. You have not been coaching enough to be able to do that. And that's where wisdom comes in, is I have the experience of the years underneath me to say like, oh, you don't have enough years to be able to do that yet. But I also have the ability to say, but here's how far away you are. And here's exactly how to get there.
Exactly. And you said yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, you can't make the games. It's no, okay, we need to get there. We're not there yet.
I would never tell anybody that they couldn't make the games.
Exactly.
If a 500-pound woman came up to me who was 54 years old and said I wanted to make the games, I would say, let's rock and roll.
Cool. Let's put the pen and paper.
And then we would write down that goal, and we would write down where she's at, and we would put all of the steps that have to happen in between, and we would draw out what her timeline was versus what it would actually be. We would reassess. We would do it again. We would reassess. We would do it again. And I bet you by the time you get a quarter of the way into what her goal was of making the CrossFit Games, her goal is going to be completely different at this point now. She's going to realize on the journey of getting there what she actually wants. But it's up to you to allow her to go on the journey and to be the bumpers to keep her safe or keep him safe on that journey when they're going. And that's it. And to continuously keep track of where they are versus where they want to be, where they are versus where they want to be. So that's on us to make sure that we know where they want to go and that we're providing the steps to get there and knowing the steps to get there. So that when they're not there, it's like, hey, no big deal, man. You're 2 steps away. Let's work on these ones back here. And then you'll be there in no time, It's all good. But when we go like, okay, for example, the athlete that says, hey, coach, I want to make it to the games in 2 years. You're like, great. How long have you been doing CrossFit? And they go, I haven't. And you go, okay. So let's start with you doing CrossFit for 2 years. And they go, no. So instead I would say like, okay, great. You want to make it in 2 years. I need you to come for the next week where we do a bunch of tests for and see where you're at. And then I'm going to show you where you're at versus where the games level's at. And then you'll see visually where you need to go and we'll make a plan to get there. Does that sound good? Yeah, sounds great. That's exactly what I want to do. Okay, great. And then they come in and they do the tests and they get the results and they see the difference. And then I can show them how far away they actually are. And then they can decide if they want to spend the time to get there or not, what it would take and all that kind of stuff, So I think it's a lot of it is on us as coaches to really show them like, okay, well, not necessarily like, I think you're right, Alex, about like, you do have to be brutally honest. Like that's what you're doing is you're laying it out in front of them and saying like, look, this is what you need to do. I'm being brutally honest with you about this, but not in like a negative way at all. It's just like, look, here's the road that you got to travel. That's the only way to get there now, but people do crazy things. People make amazing changes that we don't think. When somebody's back is pushed up against the wall, you see what they do, right? And so it's like, I remember seeing an interview with David Goggins one time, and I think he was at like Harvard, and he was on a panel with all these really amazing, super smart people. And there was this one, neurological scientist, whatever they're called. And he's saying how
someone's really smart.
really a lot smarter than me, right? Is sitting there going like, I know that David is up here and he would probably tell you different, but the bottom line is that your genetics are your genetics, and you're going to run into your DNA at some point, and that's going to be your athletic or your psychological ceiling. Like, that's just going to be it. And everybody agrees, yes, that's science, that's the way it is, blah blah blah, stuff. And then they go to David Goggins, and he just goes like, fuck that, man. Like, you kidding me? Like, and he goes, oh, with all due respect, he's like, how many times I've been told that? And if I would have listened to you, I wouldn't be where I'm standing right now. I wouldn't be doing. And how many times, and he goes through all these examples of people that have just done what they call, we put these in contracts, right? Acts of God.
Yeah.
It's unexplainable things that happen in this world that science cannot explain. Who am I to have somebody come to me and go, I want to go to the CrossFit Games, and me go, no, well, according to science, it can't happen. When we literally put in our contracts, acts of God, baby, shit happens, things happen. And if you can instead just be open to the possibilities of what could happen, man, well, that person will probably be open to a lot of the things that you say to them as coaches too.
Totally. And I think that it's okay, to the people listening, coaches, like, if you don't know how to coach an athlete to the games, that's okay. But to be able to have that conversation and give them everything you do know, which are like those foundational principles and a plan and a respect for themselves and a respect for the process, and that's what that conversation is. Like, the point is, they trusted you enough to come to you and say these things. So it is your responsibility to get them started. You don't have to finish them, right? Like, you don't have to finish that process through, because that's what we all have, is like this cool community and this neat opportunity to reach out to those strangers on social media and say like, hey, I need help. I have an athlete who wants to go to the games. Here's what I've done so far. Who's the best person to help them next? And I think that's a really cool thing too, is that it's okay to not know everything. It's okay.
Well, how else are you going to expand your network and learn things unless you do reach out to those people and say, hey, can you help me with this person? Or can I hand this person even off to you? And you can take them from here, but mentor me along the way with what you're doing with them. Like, that's how you get better.
Well, and that's how you see athletes in every aspect or place in the country. The athletes in the cornfields and, or the pig farms, we'll use Colton in Iowa, to the people who, have been doing CrossFit for 12 years for full time as an athlete and getting paid for it in Florida. That's the beauty of this sport, is that, anyone can walk in and say it and have that be a reality if they want it to be, right? Speaking of, kind of teaching in the gym, we've touched on it a lot. You've done a phenomenal job building community. 2 other business owners, 2 other gym owners, from your personal experience, professional experience, and your experience at being a seminar staff. What is the best way, or where is the starting point to create community? And what are some of the things that you see happen in the community that you blend to make better or overcome?
One more time, what was that last question?
Like the challenges, like, let's say your community gets really snippy and gossipy. How do you overcome it, right? So some of the things that are really common in the CrossFit box, that as a gym owner you see, while you're creating community or restructuring that community. What is some of your advice there?
Wow, great question, Alex. Amazing. Number one, God, let me take a second to really think about this, because I don't want to just say something that comes off the top of my head. But what comes off the top of my head is like one of the main things that we always do, and we make our coaches do, is that when anybody walks into the building, you have to say their first name and you have to say hi to them. So I'd be like, hi, Alex, how's it going? Or hi, Walter, how's it going? And within that, we train our coaches to read their body language and who they are as normal humans. So like, when my wife Megan walks in the door, I know what a normal Megan looks like, and I know what a not good Megan looks like, right? Like, when it's time for me to, oh, okay, here we go, straighten up. I did something. I don't know what's going on. Or oh man, what's up with babe? She doesn't look right. Like, there's something going on. Like, it was just off. That wasn't normal. And we want our coaches to first start there. Start by knowing all of our members by like who they are as people, not what they do for a job, not how many kids they have, not all that kind of stuff, which is still important, but what is their normal, just physical cadence? Do they walk more, with a swagger? do they walk fast and quick? Do they hunch over a lot? Like, what do their eyes look like when they talk to you? Do they normally have dilated pupils? Are their pupils a lot smaller? Do they not look at you in the eyes a lot on normal, or are they really eye contact you when they look at you? But really, when you're having conversations as a coach or as an owner with your members, reading them almost like you would when they're squatting and going like, "Ooh, is that knee tracking that toe? Is that hip backing down?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd be like, "Oh, is Walter acting like himself today when I said his name when he walked in, or is he looking a little different?" And then when we after that, we have a dynamic warm up we do every day. It's the exact same. It's just kind of like a, right arm forward, right arm back, cross the body, move the hips in some circles type of thing. And it's before we do our general and our specific warm up. And the music's up a little bit. Everybody's talking to each other. We want people to be loud. And, hey, we're here to work out. Like, oh, hey, so-and-so, and we're laughing at people. But at the same time, all the coaches, as we switch positions, they're looking at every single person and assessing not only how are they moving with their joints and their range of motion, but, are they talking to people like normal or not like normal? Like there's some people, they don't talk, they're introverts. They would rather just sit over there by themselves and have a little bit of a conversation. They go back to doing what they're doing. And that's, that's their normal. But we need to know what is the normal, both in their physical range of motion and also their mental, what is normal for them. And I think that if you could start creating a culture within your coaching staff like that, where they're really looking at people in that way and asking themselves, like, how's this person doing today? Then in turn, what they can start to do is really care more about people when the person isn't expecting them to. So like the person maybe is like, man, I'm having a shit day. Like, whatever, I'm going to go work out. And all of a sudden, like in the middle of like, that time where the coach goes, all right, guys, you got like a couple minutes, warm up to the weight that you want to get up to. I'll be walking around to help you out. And they kind of turn up the music and everybody kind of starts warming up or whatever. If they walked up to you and they were like, hey, like, how's it going? And you're like, oh, it's fine. Everything's good. And they're like, oh, let me help you get your weights. And they just kind of walk around with you while you're getting your weights. And they're like, hey, you look a little down today. Is everything okay? And you're like, yeah, everything's fine. What's up? You're like, oh, nothing. Just making sure you're good. Just not that normal, beautiful smile I see every day when you walk in. You seem a little down. So I just want to make sure everything's cool. Mm-hmm. And if they just leave it there and move on, that might be enough for them to go, well, that was kind of nice. At least they recognized me, because that's why I'm upset right now. It feels like my husband never recognizes me, and it feels like I'm just alone, and it feels I'm the one that nobody ever talks to in the gym. And it feels like, but you gave me some time because you recognize that I was just different.
But I think we all kind of know that feeling when you just like, you feel heavy,
You got it.
all of a sudden Coach Wes didn't address, like, it's not like therapy. You don't get to sit there and talk about it. But you can kind of shrug off of the weight enough to have a good workout. Because we all know what it's like to go in across the gym and like get the shit kicked out of us after we, kick the shit out of ourselves while we're walking in. And then leave. And sometimes you can kind of feel worse. And at least like in that time, you can at least like let it go and then be like, okay, I just put 10s on and then do my back squat.
Yeah, right on.
Like you're able to be there, right? And
I think it still starts there. So that's like the initial spark that makes your community kind of go, well, this place is a little different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just back squats and nutrition talk. Mm-hmm. Like they actually are like care about me when I walk in this door, and they're wondering what's going on when I'm acting different or whatever, so it starts there. And then I think another thing that you can do is to make sure that Ben Bergeron talks about this all the time, and I got it from him, was just don't gossip. Do not gossip about anybody, and don't allow it in your gym at all. And if you hear it, right, like, so like, let's say you walk up to a group of people and they're talking about somebody else, and you're not getting the moment like, well, we don't gossip in this gym, and like, like whatever, like these are adults, like they can talk about whatever they want, like this is America, do what you need to do. But hopefully I've created an environment where you don't feel like you can do that in here, because if I hear that happening, I'm not going to take part in it. I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to find a way to defend that person, probably in some way, for whatever you guys are talking shit about them about. So if I heard somebody being like, oh, so-and-so cheated on the reps, which I don't think I've ever heard this before in my gym, like ever. And I always remember that was a problem back in the day, and we just never had it. But somebody's like, oh, so-and-so cheated on the reps or whatever. I'd walk over and be like, dude, I have seen them count every single repetition, like to the T, every time I've seen them. Like I've never had that problem. That's weird. Do you guys see that? And I'd walk away.
Yeah.
And all that does is, number one, it tells those people that I don't talk shit about them behind their backs either. Because when somebody's talking about them, I'm probably going to defend them as well. And then number two, it tells them that as the owner, like, obviously I don't want this to go on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say like, hey, you can't do this or make it awkward or anything. I just went up quickly and I just said, hey, I wouldn't do that. Defend the person, and I walk away, and that's it. And so I think if you can start with the coaching staff, my dog's getting all upset. This is Benny. Benny, anytime I get on like a Zoom call or anything like that, she gets so mad and comes over and she's like, and just starts like doing this to me. It makes me pet her. So, yeah. But I think if you start with that, like, start with getting the coaches to really understand how to invest into people and like read them and see where they're at. And then, just really care about them in that context of like, just checking in on them every once in a while and saying their name when they come and they go. And then if they hear gossip, trying to squash it a little bit. I think over time that can slowly kind of get through the facility, as long as you have the coaches and the owners doing it constantly. But if it's already a culture of that, oh man, that's so tough to change. I've actually seen a couple people try to do that, where they bought a gym. They thought it was going to be awesome. They could change the culture. It's going to be great. And it's just, no, man, it is what it is. And they had to move both times. They had to move the gym to another place. They kept it the same name, right? But basically all brand new members, like maybe a few of the originals type of thing. It is so hard to change a culture once the culture is set. So good luck if you do try to do that. I haven't had any success with that, but I think that if you could start with yourself and then work your way down to the coaches, that will bleed into the community. And then if you could hear anything like happening in the gym, like gossip and stuff, and squash it, that's great too. But yeah, welcome to CrossFit, man. Always going to be drama, always going to be something going on, because we just actually care about the people. And that's what happens when you actually care about people. Things happen. They care, and they're going to get upset, or they're going to talk about this, or they're going to care if somebody got this reps or didn't go below parallel, or that happened, or this gym is doing that versus this gym is doing that. And all of that stuff is great. It's what makes the community so strong. It's what makes the community so tight. If we didn't have any of that, you wouldn't be strong. It's like getting strong. Getting strong, you have to break down your muscles, right? You got to cause some type of resistance. It's the same thing with community. There has to be a little bit of that kind of stuff going on in order for it to be a strong community.
Wow, that's good. I hope that sunk in for you guys. That was a good way to say that, I think. What would be your opinion, or what has worked well for you as the best way to inspire growth, but also retain members, right? So you want to grow as a community, but you also want to keep the people in the community that you have, right? For those who struggle with member retention, what are some of the things that you've seen them doing, or would you advise them to do differently?
I would say it's just what they're not doing. They're not checking in on their members enough.
Okay. So that they feel accountable and I
just feel if you had somebody checking in on you, let's say at your gym once a month, a different coach at the gym reached out to you and actually texted you. And it wasn't a self-feed text from MailChimp or something. It was an actual text and said hey, what's up? How's it going? I saw you at this class. I was wondering if you were, needing any help with your muscle up. It looked like you had this thing going on, totally, free of charge. Just next time I see you, let me know. That'd be awesome, or if that happened just once a month, and then once every other month, and then once a month, and then, a couple weeks later. And just these kind of times that weren't too far apart, wouldn't you be yeah, dude, no, they're always checking in on me. And that place is so rad. They always know if I'm missing or something, I think it just comes down to that. We get overwhelmed with our own lives, and then we don't have the systems set up in order to be able to handle 150, 200, 250, 300 people. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says you can only handle 150 people in your life, I believe, right? And actually know who they are and actually know their names and what's going on. And after that, it's just people. And so you can, I think, split that up. If you had imagine you had 300 members, which would be amazing for any gym. If you have two owners, well, then there's 150 and 150, but you got to take ownership of those 150, and they got to take ownership of those 150. And then you guys have to create a system to hand to the coaches so that they take ownership of these 75 and they take ownership of these 75. And then they hand it over to the interns who take ownership of these 25, 25, and 25, and these 25, 25, and 25. And they report back to the coaches who report back to you. And eventually it turns into that. But at first, guess what it is? It's you doing 75, and it's you doing 75, and it's you doing 75. And And that's awesome if that's where you're at. It's a good problem to have. At that point, you're probably able to pay somebody to do that for you. So, but put the systems there. You got to have the systems there to be able to do it. So you're checking in on your people, and then it's not going too long.
Yeah. And that's where you get as diversified in your offerings like Wes has, because you get to know your community really well, right?
You got it. Yeah, you got it.
For the egg, you can't have like 12 different classes until you get to know who's going to be in those classes. And that's
I had no idea we need to start teens class again. We haven't had teens class in a couple of years since 7 8 teens, but now it's like, oh, we're getting there. Here we go. Okay, it's time to start one. It's time to start marketing for one too, and talking to the other parents about it and letting them know, because we're starting it back up again. So it keeps your finger on the pulse, and it really gives you confidence as an owner too when you start to implement that system.
Yeah, absolutely. And remembering to, I think that people come in for themselves, right? They don't come in for you, and you're there for them. And then as you begin to build that trust, and as you begin to build that community, that's when it becomes really reciprocal, right? That's when they fill your cup too. And like we mentioned earlier, sometimes the things that you put in place to save them save you too. And that's that kind of tumbling cycle of how do we avoid burnout as business owners? How do we avoid the crash and burn? How do we avoid sacrificing services? And when we are confident in those, and I'm going to loop myself in this, when we are confident in those services and those values that we bring, then we understand that it is ultimately about the individual. And some people need the $99 membership, and other people can pay the full membership, and people are happy paying all of that all the time because they're getting all the same things.
You got it. And nobody's upset that this person's paying the $99. They're paying the full thing because they know it's awesome that they have a community that is able to give that for people.
And you trust that your coaches and your owners are going to be there for you and pick you up and lead you along the journey and show you that it's not always the pinnacle of the games, right? I use this analogy in coaching a lot, that it's a lot. And this, I think, reiterates the points that you brought up, is that Everest has 6 or 7 mandatory stops all the way on the way up. And no matter how good of a climber you are, no matter how fast you climb Everest, everyone has to mandatorily stop at those to get acquainted to the elevation, right? And so, as Wes said earlier, the joy is in the journey. Don't forget to, on the way to that top of the mountain, you can only be up at Everest at the very top for like 1 or 2 minutes, but you might spend 6 days all the way up. And just to, be present and be there and be flexible and reach out to people who know things more than you do, like Wes. Get involved with communities like WeBus. Guys, we'll put a link. We'll get that from Wes and put it in the comments. We'll also, link it on the episode details for you. If you need a community, if you need somewhere to go, if you're ever in Gilroy, drop in to the box. Don't leave your vest there like I did, but if you do, Wes will leave his house and come open the gym for you and not make you feel bad about it, and probably give you a little patch like he did to me. And
heck yeah, absolutely.
And it's
stoked I got to see you guys again.
Oh, we were so far away. We're like an hour.
I know. It was so
Walter, my bad.
Yeah, I know. The things we do for our CrossFit gear,
Exactly. But yeah, I think it's been an honor. This is, I think, the fastest hour and 15 minutes of my life.
Oh my God, it's been an hour. Holy cow. I didn't even realize. I thought it would be like 30 minutes.
And I hope our listeners that you guys feel the same. Go follow Wes. I'm not tooting the horn, like go dig back into his tag photos like I did this morning, and you'll find pictures of Miranda from street parking competing, and you'll find all these really cool people who are like the OGs of CrossFit. This is an amazing community. It's an honor to have you, Wes, as a guest.
Thank you. I was so honored to be on here with you guys, man. I remember when I called, we started carrying your guys' stuff in our gym because Walter, I emailed and I said, hey, I just want to talk to somebody about what the hell is in this stuff, because we don't put supplements in our gym. Like, we don't do it. I was like, back in the day, I was the Vibram guy. I had the 5 fingers on and was doing the paleo thing in 2009 and, and the zone diet and everything, the Rob Wolf. And so I've slowly started to adopt the understanding that like our agriculture sucks and it's starting to get worse and it's not getting better. And that there is some merit in adding some supplements every once in a while. So like, all right, fine. If we're going to have this stuff, it better be good. And the people better be cool, because I don't want to talk to people that are like, this supplement industry, greedy ass, whatever. And so I'm expecting nothing back from this email I sent to you guys. And Walter goes, yeah, sure, man. I'd love to talk to you. How about tomorrow at this time? And I'm like, yeah, sure. We'll see. And also I actually get a call. It's a FaceTime. And we had a FaceTime call with Walter and he talked to me and you guys were just up the road from us in Reno. So it was just like, it was just great to see somebody who actually was like, no, man, we care. I'll talk to you. Like, let's find out what you need. And is this the thing for you? And then as you start talking about everything that was in it and how it's, you don't have proprietary blends, which I love, and that you put the maximum dosage in it, which I love. Cause I always talk to people about that. Like we would go on Consumer Lab or labdoor.com and do third party tested on everything that anybody would ever come in and be like, I'm taking this. What do you think? And I'd be like, garbage, punt it out of here and show them on Labdoor why it was garbage. And that, because 99% of the time it didn't have anything close to what it said it had in it when they tested it. It'd be like, this is 26 grams of protein. It'd actually have like 12 when they tested it. It was like, what? Like, how am I going to give this to these people? So it's just nice to know that, we not only are we close, and so it's great to have you guys down every once in a while, but you're doing it the right way. And that's hard to do. Yeah. And I like just working with people that do it the right way and work hard. So keep doing it. You guys are crushing it. And I appreciate you.
Thank you. We appreciate you too. And Emma, she's like, what a gem. We love him. Thank you for
Emma, you're awesome.
All righty, Wes. Well, tell Megan we said hi. Give the kids,
I will, for sure.
Give the kids high fives for us. You guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in to our live viewers. Make sure to share the YouTube, share the audio. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'd love if, we could get Wes's message out there. Who knows, even if it's just one person, one gym owner, one, dude, dad that needs someone in their life that's keeping them from walking off the edge. That's the power of these types of episodes. That's the power of social media. That's the power of remembering that we're all individuals in this crazy world of social media, that it's not about all the likes. It's not about all the views. It's just about one person. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. We go live with guests just like Wes here on the Swole Friends podcast. Give Swolverine a follow, Wes Piatt 2013, as well as Coast Range CrossFit. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.